What's up, Ag Fight Diego Ribas in Las Vegas with Gordon Ryan. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you. How's everybody going?
Awesome. You just fought Nick Rodriguez, and you guys fought in September, and you tapped him very fast there. What's the difference like now?
He was a lot more negative and had a lot more grease on this time.
What did you say?
More grease, more oil. He was greased.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew when I asked yesterday in the rules meeting what the repercussions were for greasing, and they said you can't grease, but there's no penalty. I was like, yeah, he's going to be slippery. So I've trained with him a bunch of times, and he's been slippery. The second the sweat started coming out, he was dry when they did the grease check, but he wasn't sweating before. And so the second he started sweating, he was immediately way too slippery to hold on to. That's why it was hard to get a hold of him, hard to keep a hold of him, and then in overtime it was hard to hold on to his wrist to stop coming across my neck.
Did you let the referee know? Did you complain or something?
No, I didn't, because you can do alcohol wipes and you can wipe the guy down, but the second he starts to sweat, it's already in the pores. So the second he starts to sweat again, it just comes back out. So it would have been a waste of time.
Is it the first time you fight someone that you claim that is doing that?
No, it happens pretty often, to be honest. In ADCC, it's an instant DQ, and they ban you, so there's actual repercussions. But we have to fix that going forward with the Fight Pass Invitational. There has to be like a purse deduction, or like they dock your purse, or whatever the case is, or at the very least they add overtime, or there has to be some kind of penalty. You can't just say you can't do this, but if you do, there's no penalty. So I think that going forward, that's something we could definitely fix, or make everybody wear long sleeve rash guards and spats. There's definitely ways around this, but there has to be some kind of penalty for breaking the rules.
Okay, is it fair to ask you, the last 10 seconds, he had a rear naked choke. How close was that? How tight was that?
Yeah, so it was a tight strangle. He locked it in, I think, with 1 minute and 53 seconds, and we were facing the big screen so I could see the clock. And so 2 minutes hit, and I figured, well, maybe there's a delay between the timer and the stream. So 2 minutes hit, and then I counted 1, 2, 3, and then on fourth, like my teeth were getting like crushed into my lip, and it was a tight strangle, but my teeth were getting crushed, and I knew that time was up, so I pointed at the thing like time's up. Then I tapped, and he's like, oh yeah, time is up. But I think people were going crazy, so Victor couldn't hear the guy yelling time. But I was looking at the time, and it was like almost 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and then finally I was just like, okay, like my teeth are about to break. Let me point to the time, then tap, and so I knew the time was up, and the match was over.
Okay, what's the next step for you? I mean, you have a fight against Felipe, right?
Yes. Yeah, February 25th on Flow Grappling, I compete against Felipe Pena in California. So that's next. And then I have a bunch of matches which aren't released yet, signed for 2023. So I'm going to be competing pretty much all through next year.
Okay. You fought on Dragavon. You fought Felipe before DCC. You fought Kanan. Just to be clear for Brazilian fans, you don't hate Brazilians, right? Of course not.
I don't hate Brazilians. I love Brazilians. All the Brazilians who love me, I love you. Even the guys who hate me, you pay my bills. So I love you too.
That's smart. But talking about Felipe, he's doing his camp, if I'm not wrong, in San Diego for Dragavon,
Yeah.
with Kanan, even Craig Jones, I guess. How do you see this fight? I mean, everybody in Brazil wants to see this fight again.
Yeah, so I mean, Felipe is
No limit?
no time limit. Yeah, Felipe before the last match, he made me agree to sign another contract for the same terms for no time limit, submission only, before I fought him the last time, because he wanted to make sure he had a rematch because of whatever happened with Leandro. So he signed that. It's no time limit, submission only, and he's doing his camp at Atos thinking it's going to help, but it's not going to help. So I see it going the same way as last time. It'll be a long match. He's a big, strong, talented guy, but over the course of 20, 30, 40 minutes, it's just going to be too much for him to keep up with, and then I'm eventually going to finish him.
Is it fair to say that the difference before the fight he tapped you was a no time limit, and if you compare that fight with your last fight with him, your size, you are way more strong, right?
Yeah, so the first fight was actually 1 hour with EBI overtime. It wasn't no time limit, but he submitted me in 45 minutes. And then, yeah, I'm definitely bigger and stronger, but more than anything, I'm just better. Like when I competed against him in 2016, I was 172 pounds, I think, the day of the match. And I wasn't nearly as technical as I am right now. So I'm just better all around. I'm bigger, I'm stronger, and most importantly, I'm better than I was. Compared to the last 3 times I fought him, I'm just better now.
Perfect. I would like to ask you about business plan as a jiu-jitsu, because when I was a kid, I'm older than you, as you can see. When I was a kid, all the Brazilians, they couldn't make money doing jiu-jitsu. Now grappling, especially no gi, you guys can make a lot of money, especially because of you. And BJJ fanatics, even flow grappling now, UFC Fight Pass. What's the limit? How bigger do you think grappling is going to be in like in the next few years?
Yeah, I think next 5 to 10 years, hopefully closer to 5, I'm looking to help push jiu-jitsu into a mainstream sport where everyone knows what jiu-jitsu is. Everyone, a lot of people follow jiu-jitsu, and you have like a few athletes that are like household names. Like everyone knows Conor McGregor, whether they watch MMA or not. Everybody knows Mike Tyson. So I want jiu-jitsu to have like household names where even if you don't watch jiu-jitsu, you never even watch jiu-jitsu. You don't like it, you still know, who the stars are. Like I don't watch skateboarding, but everybody knows who Tony Hawk is. So that's what I want for jiu-jitsu in the next 5 to 10 years.
And what kind of support do you have to do that, to bring jiu-jitsu to this level?
There's a lot of support to bring jiu-jitsu to the next step. ADCC is a huge part of it. You have huge streaming services. You have Flow. You have UFC. You have One Championship. You have all these big organizations now coming in, streaming jiu-jitsu, paying athletes decent amount of money to compete, and really helping to take the sport to the next level. So we're getting there. We're like just on the cusp of breaking into the mainstream. So I'm happy to be at the forefront of that, and hopefully we can start getting athletes paid.
2 more questions. You were training with Roger Gracie, right? And Roger was the best, was the GOAT before you, and he won everything, gi and no gi. How was the training? How do you see him? Was the first time in training with him?
First time, yeah. I mean, Roger wasn't the GOAT. Roger still is the GOAT. But I've never trained him before. I've watched him compete. I've studied him a lot. And we actually train gi and no gi. And you can see why Roger was the best ever. The things that he was doing, even now, he's more technical than the guys that I got to fight. So he's a problem, gi and no gi. Very, very talented, good in all positions. Even if he passes guard, you take his back, you put him in a submission. He's got very good defense everywhere, very good offense everywhere. He's something special, and you can definitely see why he had such easy matches, especially against the guys in that generation.
Perfect. Last question for me. We just saw that you broke your contract with One Championship, and now you're going to go back to grappling. You never fought MMA, right?
No.
So you're going to focus on grappling. And we can see you make a lot of money, of course, but do you think nowadays it's possible for jiu-jitsu guys to stay in jiu-jitsu and still make money if they don't want to go to MMA? MMA is just an option because years ago, money talks. So most of them went to MMA because of money.
Yeah, I think jiu-jitsu athletes now, the top guys, can make a living doing jiu-jitsu, but they can't be rich. I think the only person in the sport right now who can be rich doing jiu-jitsu is me. But I do think that athletes can make a living. They can support themselves, and they can make decent money and not have to go into MMA. They don't have to open up a school. They can teach instructionals. They can teach seminars. They can compete, and they can make decent money. But my goal is next 5 years, an athlete should be able to only compete and not have to do anything else, not have to teach privates, seminars, any of that, and still make athlete money. So that's what we're working towards now.
Perfect. Would you mind sending a message for Brazilian fans? You're Brazilian fans.
Yes. Yeah. I love you guys. I know a lot of you guys hate me, but I'm here. I'm here to stay, and you guys, a lot of you guys support me. I have people message me all the time, like, "Man, not all Brazilians hate you." So those of you who like me, I love you. I love you guys too. And even those of you who hate me, like I said, you guys are paying my bills because I'm sure you're watching.